episode number 196 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording on February the 26th, 2023. My name's Eric, host of the show based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and of course, computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events, started a small preparedness company that helped people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
And I'm Jeff. I am based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
I'm Pierre. I'm a tactical beard owner, base t-shirt merchant, government critique, and New World leader.
And the reason we have to hit the explicit button quite often on the show.
Yes, I should add that in my intro.
Probably should, yeah. All right, if you want to help support the show and keep the Canadian Prepper Podcast on the air, you can buy some swag. We've got the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the tactical Velcro patch available at prepperpodcast.ca. All the proceeds help keep the lights on and the backup generator fueled.
And if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and like us on Facebook and submit a review on iTunes. We also want your feedback, good or bad, or just if there's a topic you want us to cover, you can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, so we've got some retrieving content for you in this episode. I'm going to start off with some recent news articles. We'll update you on what we've done for our personal preps, and then we're going to get into the main topic, being overseas when shit hits the fan. Look at that. I got to hit the explicit button because of me first, Pierre, not you.
Well, someone's got to carry on that torch.
Fair enough. All right, let's move into the news.
I've just got one article, and again, preparedness-wise and whatever. So there is still 300,000 people in southern Michigan without power from the ice storm back last Thursday, I believe. There was over 700,000 at the peak. Of course, those 300,000 people, most of them aren't prepared, so they're complaining and whining and, calling emergency services, where's my power, and complaining about all the food they've lost and how they're cold. And, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, fair enough. I've been talking to a couple of ham radio operators here over the last couple of days, which I know was strange for me, but they've all been kind of commenting too on that bad weather that's come through, and it's caused quite a bit of damage in places. I know in southwestern Ontario, they had a pretty good amount of power poles down in one location. It's wreaked some havoc, but it does happen this time of year.
Yeah, it was just outside of St. Thomas, and it was actually Centennial Avenue down, which runs outside of St. Thomas. They had 23 poles come down, either snapped or fallen right over. So last I knew, I believe they're fine now. But yeah, they were out Friday night. They were still waiting for the repairs to be finished.
And hey, it's part of Mother Nature. It happens every year, right? The winter happens all the time, and this kind of thing happens. So it's kind of why we do the whole preparedness thing, right?
If only there was a podcast that would relate some information on something to do something
to kind of be ready for that kind of situation.
Yeah, but we're poking a dead horse here because they got no power to get all the info. But
right, you do that after the situation happens is when you start to get the info. That's right. Yeah.
That's what I do it.
Oh, geez. All right, let's move into what we've done lately for preps.
Not a heck of a lot. I did some food prep, did my monthly Costco run, slapped myself in the pocketbook for that one, and did some fuel rotation.
Fair enough. Yeah, for myself, I kind of already mentioned that I've been hopping on the HF radio here the last couple of days. So, I've been playing a little bit of ham radio. Haven't really been on the air in the last little while. So, kind of warming the rig up here and getting her fired up again. So, I was able to get some contacts even this morning into about central U.S. and then actually got a couple in Spain as well. So, that was kind of fun. There's a couple of Spain stations that were doing parks on the air there. So, they had taken their rig mobile and set up in a park somewhere random, and I was able to talk to them at actually really good signal quality. So that was fun. And then today I was actually able to meet up with the local prepper group here. So we do a once a month Sunday meeting at the coffee shop, and it was good. A couple of new faces came out, lots of really good conversation, and it's always nice to just sit down with like-minded people and just have a coffee and chat. So we talked about all kinds of things from EMP to ham radio to chickens and turkeys and butchering and you name it. There was all kinds of good chat going on, and it was nice to see everybody. And like I said, we had a couple of new faces come out too, so it's always good to have a few new people come out and join the group and just add their knowledge and skills to the conversation.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to miss today. I agree. I've gone to that same prepper group, and it's nice to have conversations with the like-minded people and pick their brains for ideas, and they're coming after you for ideas. And yeah, a lot of good chatter goes on there.
And I got the nerd about ham radio, so I was happy.
Big surprise there.
I know, right?
Yeah. We've done preps. We did a crap load of organizing for the wedding coming up because we decided that we don't want to pay someone to do a bunch of the stuff. We're going to do it ourselves. So now we need to figure out how we're going to fit all that stuff in the house and do a bunch of it. So we got that. Got back out to the range. Finally got my rifle on paper, even though that was I'll say disaster just because it costs so much on ammo. But it was also fun because it's more rounds through the rifle, which was nice. Started doing some food preparation.
Now, what we really need to know, though, Pierre, is how actually big was the piece of paper?
Oh,
for you, I'm anticipating about a 6x6 sheet. You can barely hit it.
Was it you on paper or Mel?
Depends which time.
Both.
Well, she didn't come the second time. Well, she didn't come the second time, right? So yeah.
So nothing on paper the second time. Got it.
Okay.
Well, she didn't come the second time, but she was on paper the first time.
Because he didn't want to get shown up the second time. That's why.
Well, yeah. Until I get on paper, then we'll start competing. But I don't know, man. It was just a disaster. I sighted it in at 15 yards, got it on paper, got this, got that. Okay, everything's good. I'm a half-inch grouping, 3 shots. It's if I go out to 100 yards, I'm good here. I'll have to adjust elevation or whatever. But no, I had 2 targets side by side. And I can't get on paper. It doesn't matter if I'm hitting bottom right, bottom left, top right, top left. I'm nowhere on paper. I'm this is making no sense. So it took a little while, but I got it on paper and I got it pretty dead on. So I'm pleased with that. And then we're doing food prep. So when we go for our honeymoon, our daughter's staying at home. So we're getting some food prepped for us, as well as make it easier for, the meals while we're gone for the week. So yeah, we're just slowly starting that process. So it's not, cook for 20 hours a day for 3 days right before we leave.
Very nice. Are you going overseas by chance for the honeymoon?
Buddy, I've got an episode for you. No, we're going nuts. Yeah, we're not going too far from home. A nice little spot we found last year or whatever, but we're staying for longer this year. So it'll be nice.
Well, this episode will still apply. So
yes,
awesome. Well, with that, let's move into the main topic. We kind of gave it away here. So this evening, we figured we'd talk about what happens if shit hits the fan and you are, say, overseas or you're a good distance away from home. With the whole COVID restrictions things finally lifting and people are starting to move around again and being able to vacation, get away from home, we're seeing a lot more people on the move and doing just that. And especially with things being a little bit... what's the best way to put it? Chaotic right now in the world. It's probably a good idea to have a plan if you're going to be traveling. So we figured we'd talk about that tonight and how we would put a plan together, what we would kind of think about, and some best practices. So we'll just throw the scenario out there that we are traveling. It could be any destination you want. It could be Mexico or Paris or down the street or a couple of cities over. on vacation away from home, and all of a sudden shit hits the fan. You've got to get home or figure something out to get out of Dodge. I'll open it up to the panel here, and we can have a discussion about what we think some best practices are, and what we would do, what we would look for, maybe what we wouldn't do, and we'll go from there. And live chat too, if you want to jump in, absolutely hop in the comments.
So I was going to say, before you leave, so let's not jump the gun here. So before you leave, make sure that your important documents that you don't need to take with you, such as a passport or whatever, are in a safe place, and that somebody knows where they are in case you're stranded, you can't get back, something happens, whatever. If, say, it's just you on a business trip, your family's still home, have someone in your mag responsible for your family if you can't get home right away. So I know it's odd to talk about, but have a plan in place.
What?
Where to meet?
Come on.
I know. Where to meet, where to go, where maybe some important items are located in your residence. If you really trust the person, and depending on the shit hit the fan scenario, you may or may not want to make sure that they have the combo to your secure item space, aka your gun safe.
Only if you can get on paper.
You probably shouldn't know the code right now, Pierre, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of friendly fire going on.
Oh, buddy, you're safe. I can't hit shit.
We'll start there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jeff, you bring up a good point in regards to travel documents and stuff, and leaving a copy with a trusted person, because you don't know what's going to happen, and people tend to travel with those important documents with them, and then 9 times out of 10 you lock them up in the hotel room, or you leave them somewhere secure when you're out and about at whatever destination you're at. And if something happens and you can't get back to that point, and you don't have those documents, at least there's somebody back home that you can eventually get a hold of that can forward those to some form of authority, or somebody that's going to help you get back to home. And it just makes life way, way easier if you're able to present a copy of the documents, at least, and have your photo and all the appropriate numbers, so you can be looked up in a system, etc. Because yes, I know nobody likes to be in a system. You don't want to be on a list, but surprise, you're on one because you've got a passport and a driver's license. So it's going to be there. So it's always good to have copies of those and leave them with a trusted party to be able to retrieve them if you're in a really, really bad situation and you're not able to get your originals for whatever reason. And I see Caroline in the live chat here mentions as well, have a digital copy of your documents with you in case you lose your passport or other ID. Yeah, most of us are not going to leave our hotel room or wherever we're staying without that little fun tracking device that we all pay for, aka your cell phone. So we even have copies of that ID on that device. Watch the cybersecurity episodes that we've done to probably secure said ID. But it can't hurt to have it as well if it's stored in a safe location on those devices. I would suggest encrypted, but that's me just going one extra step. And but having it with you, because like I said, nobody really leaves anywhere now without that little tracking device that we all like to carry around with us, and some even carry 2 or 3.
Yes.
And Joe in the live chat here says the same thing. What about taking pictures of your documents with your phone as a backup? Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, just make sure that it's stored securely, because you don't want those documents to get into hands that they shouldn't be in, especially if you've taken them as a backup and nothing happens, and then you're traveling back home, and for whatever reason those documents end up in hands they shouldn't be in. You don't want that happening, because then you get into ID theft and all that kind of fun stuff. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be backing your stuff up, who can actually access it. Let's see. So I've got here just priority 1. If something does happen, so you're at that vacation destination, a major event happens, I say priority 1 is lay low, get out of sight. you don't want to be drawing attention to yourself and people realizing that you're around. Gray man theory, right? Get out of sight, don't be seen, and start planning now, or putting your plan in place. So you shouldn't be planning then. You should be putting your plan in place, starting to assess, what's going on, what's happening, and how am I going to react to this? Just because everybody around you is freaking out saying the world's coming to an end doesn't necessarily mean that's actually what's happening. Could be a big situation that just doesn't require you to react at all, except to lay low, get out of Dodge, and just not be seen for a bit. It might be a situation where, you absolutely have to get out now. So be prepared to kind of analyze that and see what's actually going on, and then act immediately. Go get your core group together, get your plan in place, and assess what's happening. And then once you've assessed and you've come to a conclusion that okay, this is something that we can kind of lay low for, stay where we are right now. We don't have to get a Dodge right this second, but we'll just kind of stay out of the spotlight. Or if you come to the assessment that this is priority one, we got to get the heck out of here. We got to get the heck out of here now. Then stick with that and just go and get out of the spot that you're in, because everybody else is most likely going to be in that shock value time, right? They're going to be sitting around still, either at the swim up bar going, I'm not leaving. This is my vacation. I don't care. I want another mojito, right? Or they're going to be sitting around with the whole, well, it can't happen to me mentality. This can't be something that's going to affect us. We're just going to stay put. And then you'll get the mass exodus down the road. So if you get to the point of, I got to go, we've decided as a group, it's time to go, get to the airport, get to the transit, get to whatever it is that's going to get you home right away. Beat the crowds, right?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was looking at was if you needed to leave, how can you leave? Train, a bus. Depending on the disaster, you may or may not be able to, or what the situation is, you may or may not be able to get on a plane. Planes may be grounded. You may not, but still, maybe even before something happens, just know where to go. So know where the transit stations are, know where the bus terminal is, know where the airports are. And, be prepared to walk for possibly a couple of days to maybe get out of the initial big area that you may be in, if it's a larger city or an area, or maybe even get out of that country and into another country across the border where you've got an opportunity to get out. That is, of course, if you are not deciding, like Eric says, to be the gray man and just stay put and stay out of sight. Again, obviously, Eric touched on it. Evaluate the situation. What is the situation? What is happening? Don't panic, but don't, debate it or whatever for days on end. Look at your situation, make a fairly quick decision, and stick with your decision and go. Don't be second guessing it. 9 times out of 10, people say you get a gut feeling about something. 90% of the time, you're right. So take that 10% if you're wrong, so be it.
Yeah, you make a good point too, Jeff, about just knowing your area. Because, 9 times out of 10, when you're a tourist, you like to switch your brain off, rely on local transport. You land somewhere at the airport, you show up in a train or whatever, you call the taxi. The travel agency that you've lined up for your trip has made all the arrangements to get a bus to take you and whatever group that they've booked to the resort. You Uber, you do something like that, and really you just jump in it, you go and you get to your destination, and usually you're not paying attention to where you're going, how you got there, or anything like that, because really you don't care. You're on vacation, right? It's time to switch the brain off and just relax. But take that 5 minutes and just have a look at a map. Have a look at a couple landmarks as you're traveling and go, okay, I remember passing this statue. I remember this billboard. I remember this funny looking building, right? Have a quick look at a map just to kind of get it in your mind of where you've been and how to get back to that location, because you might not have that transportation as an option depending on what the situation is. So I think that was a good point.
You guys have a complete different view of how I would do this. So I'm only going to go to really, really crappy places where I become the fucking boss. Doesn't matter what the scenario is. Like, just go to like this really shady area where like a person that can like speak and like walk normally or whatever, just like shit hits the fan scenario. Just be like, all right, that's it. I'm king now. I'm the ruler, and you're probably better off a little bit golden than where you came from.
Oh, jeez. I knew we brought you on the show for a reason, Pierre.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but like
comic relief.
Yeah, but so right, like that's the thing. So like, where you going to travel? Like everything you guys said, right? Like, you can trust all these websites all you want, and it's like, you go to this really fancy resort, 5-star, everything catered, butler, prim proper, way out of my normal forte of I can't wear shorts to supper, but
I'm wondering where the macaroni and cheese is.
Yeah, right. Like where's the spaghetti and meatballs? It's like, no, we've got like this weird butternut squash souffle thing, and I'm like, what? Like, it doesn't make sense, right? But also understanding the area that like, even though this is a 5-star resort and everything, like you could be like less than a kilometer of like the worst place in this area, but there's just an understanding of like, you guys do what you do, but keep it over there, and we're gonna do what we do here to keep the economy going, and then you guys do your shady stuff, which keeps the economy going and all that. But I'm like, it won't take much for that barrier to just break, and that really bad area or really sketchy area or questionable people and ethics and everything to just cross that line to where you think you're safe. Oh well, I'm on the resort, I'm safe. I'm like, I've been to a resort where I'm like, there's a guy standing at the gate where I'm like, if like 20 people start walking, like he's not going to stop 20 people, right? So just understanding that whole scenario of like, okay, well, I want to go to Cancun, Mexico, Jamaica, wherever it is that you're going, kind of trying to do some research and realize like, okay, where's the resort? Is it strictly resort where it's like 20 kilometers next to the next town where people, from where you're visiting live, or is it like half a kilometer and you're like going to like the straight up ghetto, but like they've just come to an agreement where they keep that separate. Yep. But I'm like, it may not take much for people from that area where I'm like, they can't get food for 2 days, but they know the resort has a week's worth of food.
Yep. Fully stocked too. Yep.
Yeah, fully stocked and everything.
And a bunch of rich tourists who have money.
Yep.
Exactly. So I mean, I make jokes about being the new founder of who knows where the hell I'm going, but everybody is like, yeah, you want all your documents on this and that and everything, but like understanding where you're going, the scenario around where you're going. If you want to, everybody wants to take this, this tour and that tour off of whatever resort. It sucks. Everybody, finds their time precious and everything, but I'm like, if you're gonna dedicate a week and $6,000 per person to go do this really fancy thing, what's 2-3 days out of your time to really look into the ins and outs of the area you want to go visit? It's got a really cool cave, but might not make it out of the cave is probably not the best way to say, I want to go look at that cave.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's a really good point. Just understanding kind of the political side of what's going on in the various country that you're visiting, and really kind of the layout of, you're 100% right. In some locations, some popular tourist spots, literally it's hands off. Don't screw with the tourists because they're bringing money into the economy here. Yep. But yeah, if something goes south and there's a really bad situation, you're 100% right that all of a sudden they don't care because the economy is just gone for a dump, right? And now there is this fancy resort that's normally hands off, but you said it's full of resources. And full of tourists that like Jeff was mentioning have money, and
and whether it's the money, but guess what? They've all got clothes. They've all got this. They've all got you're right. The resort has a bunch of stuff, but I'm like, if you're there with your 2-3 kids, you've got a week's worth of clothes with you, and their kids need clothes. Now your kid may not end up with, right? Like even as simple as that, right? Like you have shoes. Guess what? Today's,
they might not,
everything has collapsed, and they were like, you know what? I'm getting me a pair of fucking shoes. You may be the target on those pair of shoes.
That's a good point.
So yeah, just understand, things we 100% take for granted living in, Canada, US, developed worlds where you take your kid to the dollar store and just be like, what do you want? Craft stuff, supplies, this, that. Most people, have got fresh clothes, first day of school outfits and everything. Some places that may not be the scenario, where I'm like, it may not take much for them to decide that today's the day I want a new pair of shoes to me.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
And that, in my opinion, goes back to what we said at the sort of the beginning, is apply your level of assessment. If you're in that resort and things are crumbling and you're in the back of your mind saying the locals are going to come, and if I don't give them my kids' shoes, they're just going to shoot me. Should you be there? Then you have to look at, is it safe to get out? How do I get out? Where do I go? That whole, but you're going to have to weigh which scenario you end up wanting to be in.
Yep. Yeah. And then Scott in the live chat here has left us with a quick scenario too, just in regards to, let's go back to just a bad storm coming through a resort that you're attending for a vacation. You've caught wind that it's coming. Grab a few extra items from the buffet ahead of time, leave them in your room in the bar fridge, and that way you don't have to really leave during the worst of it. You've got everything kind of stocked up, so it's like a mini food prep in your hotel room. Great idea. Yep. A lot of people are probably going to do that, but a lot of people aren't as well. So if you're catching wind of it ahead of time, stock up a little bit of extra. What's the harm, right?
I don't disagree. So when I went to Jamaica, right before going to bed and the bar closed, I made sure to grab about 4 or 5 ounces of Baileys, so I could have Baileys and coffee in the morning before the bar reopened.
Yeah, the bar closes?
It's just,
that's sad.
Yeah, the one we were at. Yeah, but I mean, it opened up at like 10, but I'm like, we were up at like 8, and I'm like, oh, so yeah, we'd have like 3, 4 coffees with whatever. But yeah, like if it's an all-inclusive, this, that, like, yeah, take it to go thing, take this, take that. I mean, if it's not all, you got to pay for the meals or whatever, maybe budgeting that, buying 2 meals per person extra or ahead of time that you're planning, and being able to, stock that. If you've got an ice machine right outside your door, fill your bathtub full of ice and put the food in there. If you don't have a fridge or the power goes out, I mean, yeah, scoop up all the ice before it all melts, and do what you can to keep it cool or whatever, depending on the food. But there's so many scenarios and so many things I probably shouldn't say online.
Yeah. So Joe in the live chat here as well has a really, really good point we haven't touched on yet. Just said, I think it would be a good idea to save the location of your country of origin's embassy location to an offline map. Google Maps, for example, allows you to save maps on your phone. Great idea. Yeah. Or even grab a map at one of the little tuck shops or something. They're at the airport when you land, and just find it on that map and have it circled and get an idea as to where it is in regards to where you are. Fantastic idea. That's because if you really are in a bad spot, it's a good idea to get there if you can't get anywhere else, right?
100%. And I don't disagree with saving it on your phone, but like you just mentioned, get a little map, figure out how to get, someone or some way of, circling where that embassy is, and that bus driver that brings you out there, maybe circle the embassy afterwards, find out where it is first, but like, hey, where are we going on the resort compared to the airport? And he can circle that. And when you sit down, you can circle where the embassy is. So you can kind of get, okay, you can figure out your bearings with the sun going up, sun going down, where the water is, and all that stuff or whatever. So yeah, just let's say it's an EMP scenario, you might not be able to find that pin on your phone, but you can buy a map for pennies on the dollar in comparison to trying to figure it out with no map and no cell phone.
Yep. And you bring up a really good point too, Pierre, about just using some local knowledge. Talk to the bus driver, as they're driving you places. Talk to them, see what they have to say. talk to the local concierge at the hotel, ask them about, anything about the area. What's, what do they suggest for getting around? What are some good tourist spots? What are some spots to avoid? What do you need to know about the area? Ask about some history. Strike up a conversation with some of the locals that work there. They're probably going to be more than happy to talk to you because you're showing some interest in where they live, and they're going to give you some valuable intel. If anything, you're just going to learn some neat things about the area and never have to use it. But if something happens, you've got one up on pretty much everybody else at the hotel that hasn't bothered to ask questions or learn about the local area, and you'll kind of know where to go, what to avoid. They might even be able to point you towards the embassy if you're chatting and just out of curiosity, where is it? So, no harm in just striking up a conversation, and who knows what you're going to learn from some of the locals.
Yeah, you'll find out way more from the locals as long as they're, especially if you go to a resort, right? Like they get paid, the more information you give them, the better time they give you, the more you're going to recommend it to someone, and the better their common amigos, and the more people book there, and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, they've got no reason to really steer you the wrong way, but, just being friendly to people, the locals, like, hey, depending where you go, depending on the resorts, like, I did this when I went to Jamaica, and I know Mel has done it when I think she went to Cuba or whatever, but I'm like, if you're going to a resort and you're just unsure, depending on the country, I'm like, just bringing a bunch of stuff for the people that clean your room to give to their kids.
Yep.
And I mean, like, go to the dollar store and spend $20, and you will have 99% of the time, you will have the best service in the world. Because it's very hard for them. It's very hard for them to just get coloring paper and markers and crayons. Yep. So, thinking ahead of time of being like, hey, if I spend $20, $30, $40 at the dollar store, and something happens and you end up meeting the person that has been there for a few days, and hey, you know what, you really helped me out to look after my kids. It may be a check in the box that you may have an extra insight on anybody there that just doesn't care and says, do your job, and, thinks nothing of them.
That's a really good point. Right. You might have made a quick local friend that way, right? A quick ally that you may not even realize that you've made until all of a sudden things are going bad and they're whispering in your ear going, hey, come this way. You helped us out. I'll help you out now.
And Scott mentioned something in the chat there. He says about the local pharmacy, but I was thinking, on top of that, where's the local care center? You need medical care. Where's the, I don't know, hospital, critical care center, whatever they want to call it. Walk-in clinic, maybe. Yeah, the local pharmacy. Depending on the country and the status of that country and all that, I may want to avoid interacting with local law enforcement. Depending on like I said, with the country and all of that, some of them don't have much of a reputation for that kind of stuff. So they may not be the people you want to go consult with.
It's true.
But
I mean, some of them see a tourist and can think of, hey, that's an extra easy. This guy might pay us $100 to get out of it. And for them, $100 is night and day, a month's worth of pay, in whatever funds, Canadian, US dollars that you normally train. Yeah. And, and you're only there for a week. You don't want to deal with going to jail or going to court, whatever. So I'm like, there is that potential of being exploited as, a tourist to, unfortunately, law enforcement, certain people of whatever. So you got to be careful, man. It's crazy.
Yeah,
that's why you just want to go to a really bad area where you're going to be the fucking boss.
But swinging back around to the event happening and whatever it may be, it's we're running on the assumption it's happened in the area that you were visiting, and we've kind of focused on getting the points of just getting out. So getting to that. Airport or getting to the train station or getting to a way out, that might not be an option. It might simply be guess getting to the next town over, or getting to a couple of towns over, or getting to the next major point. So that's where getting a little bit of local intel comes into play, and learning about, okay, I can't get to the airport if I can't get to the train station. The embassy's not an option for me. I can't get there. How do you get to the next vacation destination, the next location that's safe for tourists to go to? Because like Pierre mentioned a few times, a lot of places, tropical destinations that we're vacationing to, the hands-off rule could be very much so out the window for the tourists. So learning about those areas that you can go to, like what's my next safe spot to get to if I can't get to the airport, or I can't get to the train station, or I don't have a way to get out. And again, it's, it's a bit of a damper thinking about this stuff before you go away on that vacation. But it may pay for itself tenfold, right? Yeah.
Especially if you end up king.
Yep.
Or even,
true.
A scenario, and Pierre mentioned that making friends with somebody who works at the resort and giving us something for the kids, whatever. Something's really bad. Maybe that friend you just made will take you into their residence and provide you some cover or some protection or somewhere to lay low and not be seen till stuff blows over or whatever, gets you out of that where the resort would have been a no-go and now it's a go. They get you out of there, and
even if they just say, like, just go sit in the corner and, like, don't make noise. We don't have enough food to give you. You can survive quite a while without food. It's no fun, but it's better.
But at least you got a roof,
you're out of that hazard if you go to a scenario, right? And I mean, like, going on a complete side thing without trying to pack a whole other suitcase of supplies that you need, but like trying to figure out where you get to your resort, look at the room setup, look at the doors, how they lock. Might be good to bring like some, 3.5 inch screws and a little battery operated handheld drill that you might be able to barricade a door real easy.
Or at least scope out where the maintenance person keeps their tools, or where there's a maintenance closet.
Yeah. Right. If there's something, I mean, most resorts probably have, a tree branch somewhere that you might be able to put across your door with a few screws in comparison to most people. If it's extremely hard to get in, you may get skipped. Not saying that someone else is less important than you, but in this scenario, like, me and my family is priority number one, not, Ethel from 2 doors down. Like, at the end of the day, right? Like, it's very hard to wrap your head around that. But I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to go help someone I don't know if it's going to jeopardize me or my family.
And you have to be prepared to make that choice too. It's a hard one to make, and it's a hard mindset to get into, but you have to be willing to kind of get that mindset in place of, hey, you know what, something bad's happened here, and it's everyone for themselves, which is a terrible scenario to be in. But if you can harden yourself and kind of ride it out, well, you know what, it is what you got to do, right? It sucks. It's not the way we think usually, but
they've only got a half hour. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, it's kind of really no different than, say, your house. Making your house, I mean, if the bad guy or person wants in bad enough, they're going to get in. But if you make it difficult for them, chances are pretty high they're just going to go to the next house. And, so that's kind of the same scenario. If they really want in, they're going to get in. But if you make it difficult, chances are they may just move on.
And even if we're not dealing with people breaking in and looting and stealing things and looking to hurt you or whatever, let's just take the scenario of a storm coming through. Being able to put that tree branch or that log or that board or whatever is around across a door could simply prevent Mother Nature from breaking in and screwing all your stuff up, right? It's not always going to be the person that's going to cause you some kind of problems. I know we're kind of focusing on people because, you know what, honestly, people are shitty. But you know what, sometimes Mother Nature is the one you got to watch out for, right? It's not always the people that are coming to get you. So it works for both scenarios. It works for the person scenario, and it works for the bad weather scenario as well, of just fortifying where it is that you're going to stay if you've decided to stay put, and knowing how to secure it appropriately.
Yeah, and also a quick word of advice: if it's a tsunami coming and you're on the ground floor, boarding up the door is probably not the best scenario.
Yeah, you're probably going to want to not be on the ground floor.
Yeah, right. But I mean, so that's another thing. Like if you're booking, right? Like, what would be the ideal floor where it's not too high if something happens, but not too low that if something happens, right? Like, understanding that. I mean, most places you can make requests to, I won't say demands, but yeah, a request like, hey, I'd like to be on the, third to fourth floor. They can probably accommodate for it in, 99 or 98% of scenarios. It's all nice to like walk out of your door onto the beach, but in certain scenarios, whether we're talking weather related, people related, or whatever, ground floor kind of sucks for that.
It's a big security issue, no matter what the scenario is you're dealing with, being on the ground floor. It's good for some things, quick escapes and such, but sometimes the pros outweigh the cons. Sometimes the cons outweigh the pros. You got to kind of decide for yourself if the ground floor is going to be for you or not.
But just understanding that, from the third floor up, I can probably figure out how to get on the ground fairly easy, fairly safely without breaking my legs, compared to being on the 15th floor.
Yep.
Right? Because tie some sheets together or this, that. Like, there's lots of scenarios you can climb down or whatever. But it's probably easier. But I mean, third, fourth floor is probably safer than ground floor, depending on the scenario. I mean, pretty much every scenario we can think of. Ground floor is not nice unless you want to be first at the bar.
I was going to say, you can stumble out of the ground floor very easily, which is nice.
Yeah.
Crawl back to it easy too.
Yeah, a lot less stairs to fall down of.
Yeah, this is true, which helps avoid a few bad scenarios of just hurting yourself. But
I mean, we've mentioned jokes about drinking nonstop or whatever, but I'm like, that's something else you got to worry about, right?
Yeah.
You're there on vacation, so you kind of want to let loose or whatever, but you got to be kind of the gray man and not be too crazy with cash in your pocket or wearing your fancy jewelry or whatever, and decide to just sit at a bar nonstop and do something, because that could be the scenario we're talking about where someone's just scoped you out and wants to scoop you up for something, and now you got to figure out how to escape. Right.
It's a good point. There's all kinds of scenarios that we can run into overseas on trips. But cycling back around to like the whole tsunami or bad weather scenario, there's also a time where you just need to know that it's time to listen to the authority figure that's telling you, hey, we need to go to this spot. Hey, we got to go to that spot. And you have to think about it and be prepared to either accept the fact that you need to listen to the hotel staff or the individual person at the hotel that is saying, hey, something bad's coming. We all need to go here. You need to be in the mindset of, are we listening to that person? Do we trust that advice? Or is this something that we're not listening to and we're going another way? It's another thing to kind of pre-plan for, and maybe be familiar with what happens in the area that you're traveling to. What type of natural disasters can happen? What do they look like? What are some ways that you can prepare for them? What are some ways you can be ready to either get away from them or be ready for them to hit when you're in that location? So then you can validate the information you're getting from the locals. Because like I said earlier, people are shitty. Sometimes they are not going to give you valid information. Most likely resort staff will be pointing you in the right direction, because that's they want you to come back and spend money again. But knowing what the proper protocol is for a given scenario and then being able to validate what you're being told is correct can be worth its weight in gold, because they might be telling you something that's not right just to get everybody in a certain area to say, all right, we're shaking everybody down now. Money, jewelry, everything, kids' shoes, give it up, right? So just knowing what the proper protocol is for various scenarios could be really, really worth it.
Yeah, and it's just like that movie Rat Race, where if you didn't buy a squirrel, she gave you the wrong directions and you went down that hill and crashed your car, and all those signs saying, see, you should have bought a squirrel. Like that can happen. She seemed like a sweet old lady, but you didn't want to buy a squirrel or nuts to feed the squirrels, and she sent you down a crazy path that could have been the end of you.
Yep.
So,
Scott's got a really good question in the live chat here. Do you travel with radio gear? Geez, Scott, I don't know. Do I?
So no, actually, that's a quick question.
That is a really good point, though.
No, but so you having your ham license in Canada, is it an international license or is it a Canadian license?
So there are international agreements, so you should check ahead of time as far as what the agreements are with the country you're traveling in. Like, for example, Canada and the US have agreements with each other.
Yeah.
So I can use my call sign in the USA. I just have to call out my call and then / whatever region I'm in for the US. Vice versa for them. They can use their call signs here. So if you're in this, if you're a US license and you're here in Canada and Ontario, you put out your call sign / VE3. And then that, away you go. You can transmit with all the proper authority that you would have in your home location or in the country that you're in, according to the license or class that you have in the agreement. So you'd have to check all the documents as far as what your power limits are and what frequencies you can use, because they do change. It's not like you travel to the States and you get all the privileges of your Canadian license in the States. You have to conform to what the rules are in the agreement. But and there are other countries overseas as well that we have rhetorical agreements with, but you'd have to double check just to know what they are. At minimum, I would just travel with a shortwave radio. So at least you can tune into to local radio if you need to. No. You can pick up your single sideband frequencies on HF and at least listen. There might not be a need to transmit. There might be, depending on the situation you're in. But when you start traveling with ham gear, you start getting into flight rules and stuff if you're flying, and you run the risk of going through security checkpoints and having stuff taken because they don't quite understand what it is. And it adds time to your travel. So if you're going to travel with radio gear, just add an extra hour or so to get through security with it. But at minimum, I usually like to travel with at least a radio of some sort. Maybe not one that can transmit but like a shortwave or something that can at least pick up frequencies in the area, so you can listen to local news and that kind of stuff. And hey, you know what, the nerd in me just likes to be able to say, hey, I could hear that Europe station that I can't hear at home. I can hear it while I'm here on vacation. But great question.
Yeah, no, but that brings up a fantastic point of having radio. You can have a giant, heads up, or, depending on the country you go to and everything, that community that people probably have ham radios. If it's a country similar to ours where you got to be, on the list and this and that, it might not be all, the bad people using that frequencies to do anything. That like you might be able to transmit, and get to someone that is probably like-minded and just being like, oh my God, hey, I can help these peoples that are here trying to visit our country when something happened and everything. That brings up a good point that I never thought of. I mean, that's because I decided I was going to a place where I would be king. But
so everybody else could just give you the info. Yeah.
I mean,
Joe in the live chat here brings up a really good point too. Definitely check with the country of that you're heading to. For example, radios have to be registered if going into Cuba, and then sign off on when leaving. So I don't think it's worth it for Cuba. Too much attention. And yeah, he's got a really, really good point there. That's going to draw a lot of attention to you that you don't necessarily want. Because again, you're going there to unwind and go on vacation. And hopefully everything we've talked about in this episode, you're not ever going to have to utilize, come across, or deal with, right? So having that attention on you from the get-go is probably not worth it. So a little bit of research as to what you're bringing with you can go a long way to help not draw that attention to you, because for sure if something's going on and they need a radio or they need some form of communications or something, guess who they're coming to, because they know that you've brought one into the country. So it's a really good point.
Or if you're depending on the country, if you're bringing that in, you've just put that, you might as well wear a hat with a big red light on the top of it, because the first thing they're going to be is, well, why do you need a radio? What are you bringing a radio for? What are you here? Up to? Are you here for a vacation or are you here to do something else?
Are you a spy? Yep.
Exactly. So, yep.
No, it's a really, really good point.
But even having the understanding of like, might not be a good idea to bring it with you, but depending on the scenario of where you are going, understanding what the local populace has as a market.
Where can I get certain items? Yep.
Yeah, where can I get certain items? Okay, we're going here. We've budgeted for $1,000 per person for spending money for. It's a big trip we're planning. Let's figure out how to get an extra, few $100, in cash that, maybe there's a market not too far or on one of those excavations we want to take that we can stop by a market and get a few of those, supplies that may not be so regulated to purchase there compared to bringing in there.
Bringing them in. Yep.
That, it's a few $100 you're willing to just gamble and you can get whatever in the first 2 days you're there. And worst comes to worst, you can't take it out of the country. It's money you're willing to part with, similar to going to the casino or, buying anything. Maybe not buy your dream ham set radio stuff that, whatever. But I mean, just, those small little items that, a radio, this, that, few things that, are legal to acquire, obviously. But, having, being able to, source some of that scenario out compared to you bringing a bunch of stuff can also make a world of difference. I mean, it might get you on a different list. People might be looking at what you're buying there, but it's it's a thing you can consider and think of before heading out.
Yeah, it gets back into your local intel, right? And learning what's around you and what's available to you. And it should be part of you just figuring out the local landscape and your general overall what's in your area and what's available to you. So I think it's a great idea to just scout out, if this were to happen, I can obtain this at the following location. It may not ever happen, but at least and it's research you can do ahead of time too. It's not like we're saying, do all this the first 3 or 4 days of your vacation and all you have left is a couple of days to, sit around and wonder, is anything going to happen? Do I have to go do this? You can do all this research with the wonders of technology ahead of time now, which is nice. Yeah. And then spend that first day getting to know all the locals and chatting them up. And then, after that, you're ready to go.
Yeah. And I mean, like you mentioned before, one of the best scenarios or people you can talk to is those concierge people and people that book all the tours. Like, they know what's around, be respectful, be nice. Hey, do you guys have a local market around, where you can get memorabilia to bring home, all that stuff? You can probably get most of the info that you need from those people.
And they're going to be more than happy to talk about where they live because they want to talk about it, right? Most of the time, anyways.
Yeah. In most scenarios, I mean, for many of these places that you might go do whatever, like having a resort there has been one of the best things on sliced bread for some of their economy. Yeah. And those little markets, they thrive on, dummy people that go there and, a local won't pay more than $1 for this, but a tourist will pay $20 for this and no ands, if, or buts, right? So, I mean, it could be a godsend. So, I mean, they're thinking just as much of like, hey, the more we get out, the more they advertise for this, like it helps, a bunch of the economy in most scenarios to just, they're in most cases not there to do anything bad for you or, screw you over, whatever scenario you want to talk about. Like, they're all there to help because you're there for a vacation and they're happy you decided to pick where they are and where they live and everything to have that vacation and take that time.
Exactly.
It's nice.
The Kirk in the live chat here's got a good point. Make sure you pack a multi-tool that has a can opener and locate a backup can opener on the grounds as soon as you arrive. Yes, 100%.
You know what? Only thing that's missing is a backup 9-volt CO2 detector.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that's the only thing that was missing in that. But you never know. You never know.
That's true. And Kirk, I did see your comment up above in regards to setting up the HF comm plan. We've got something in the works. It is most likely going to start in the summer versus the winter, just because it's nicer to set up NVIS stuff in the nice weather than it is in the crappy freezing rain that we're getting right now. But yeah, your email has not gone unnoticed. We did see it there. But yeah, I think we've covered off a whole bunch of stuff here in regards to travel and shit hitting the fan while you're traveling. Does anybody have anything else to add?
I'm going to want a refund now.
Yeah. Watch how many people cancel tomorrow. Why am I all blurred out? I feel like I did something wrong, and
do I have an episode for you?
Yeah, apparently me being king is a bad thing.
Yeah, well, hey, you know what? Forgot to mention I'm king, and my first order was to blur you out. Yeah.
Oh well, it's been a great success.
Yeah, perfect. It worked. I have an episode for you to watch later. Cybersecurity.
Buddy, I'm scared for episode 2 when that comes around.
Well, it's in the works. But yeah, ultimately, the whole idea of this episode was to just kind of get everybody thinking about travel and, you know, if something bad were to happen, how to be ready for it. Certainly not trying to freak anybody out and say, you know, cancel your travel plans or anything like that. Yeah, no, go have fun, enjoy your vacation. Pierre, you're back now. You're not blurred. You're welcome.
Yeah, and I figured it out.
And, you know, it's just to kind of get you thinking about if something were to happen while I'm traveling or away from home, how would I deal with it? How would I get home? How would I get to a place of safety? It's all the things that we talk about for local preparedness as well, just in an environment where you're not necessarily as comfortable. You're not necessarily speak the same language as everybody else. You might not necessarily know where everything is. So just getting that kind of in place ahead of time and just being ready for something that may not happen. Let's be realistic. Yeah. You might, hopefully you're going to go on that vacation, never have to use any of this. You're going to learn some local information from the locals just because you asked, and it'll be a fun thing you can bring back with you and say, hey, this is what I learned about the local area that really not anybody bothers to ask about. And that's how it's going to go. But if something does go sideways on you, you're going to have that plan ready to go. You're going to know how to get to a location of safety or get to an airport or get home quickly ahead of everybody else. Because as soon as everybody else realizes something's going on, they've made that decision as well. You bet there's going to be a rush out the door. So just having that mindset ahead of time, it's going to be worth it.
And a bunch of what we talked about was going overseas or resort or whatever. But I mean, if that's not in your budget or in your care to have as a plan for a vacation, somewhere that's driving distance, depending on your vehicle. If you've got a little Toyota Echo, I wouldn't recommend putting 2 jerry cans in the trunk. But if you have a pickup truck, something that you could put, you know, store a jerry can or 2 of gas. And when you get to your destination, make sure you've, you know, hey, you know, we've got half a tank of gas. Let's fill up before we get where we are. So we have a full tank of gas. We don't plan on doing much traveling, a little bit of sightseeing. Won't use much. You've got those 2 jerry cans in case there's a detour you got to take on the way home. And it's not a scenario where you're sitting in a lineup for 6 hours to try and get 20 liters of gas. And they've regulated how much gas you can get and this, that. So if you've got like a truck, plan ahead in those scenarios. Because, I mean, it just dawned on me as we were talking, like making sure you can get back home. If it's somewhere that's in driving distance, might not be bad if you've got a pickup truck or something that you can fit 2 jerry cans of gas, give you half a tank of gas. You've got a full tank of gas because you got there and gassed up before you got to your destination. Can make a world of difference compared to just being like, well, I'll just gas up on the way home when, the low gas light comes on.
Yep.
Make a big difference.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. All of this can apply to overseas or even just to a local trip. It all really depends on where you're going and what you want to learn about the area you're going to and your familiarity with it. But all the same principles apply, whether it's, like you said, Pierre, down the street or overseas. It's getting to know the area, getting to know what's around you and getting to know the locals in the area and making a few friends along the way. Worst case scenario, you just made a couple of friends and you carry on. or sorry, best case scenario, not worst case scenario. Best case scenario, couple of friends, you move along. Worst case scenario,
I don't like people.
they are now trying to help you get out of Dodge, right? So it's it applies to both scenarios. So
Depends. I don't
ultimately
like meeting new people.
Ultimately, I'd like to just vacation to an island by myself where I can be king.
Yep.
And just be done with
Buddy,
it.
it's not a bad idea. As long as you got good ham signals there, right?
Well, of course, yes. The first rule would be all ham radio is operated by me. Yes.
First rule is all ham.
Yes. All ham. Done. Yes.
All ham. Done. Yeah,
We'll call it Ham Island. It's Ham Island. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Well, I know where I'm vacationing now.
I know what your
Awesome.
Google search is going to be by next week.
Yeah. Yeah. How do I buy an island? Yeah. Awesome. Does anybody have anything else to add to the list here for this evening's topic?
Only thing
Alright.
I'll add is don't be scared to still take vacations.
Yeah. 100%.
Just
It's-
I mean, you got to keep this on the back burner. The thoughts. Everybody's heard of that random scenario. People getting taken, this, that. I mean,
Yep.
it is very unlikely that any of this will happen to, most people that vacation. 1 million people go there and one person gets kidnapped, like 1,000,000 to 1. It's not much different than buying a lottery ticket. But, just taking some extra precautions on, a little bit of research of the area you're going
Yeah.
to, places you may want to visit, and this, that. I mean, it
Yeah.
takes a little bit of time, but I'm like, it's not, hours and hours of backbreaking labor to just, look out for yourself. Is my recommendation. Just, take a little bit of extra time. Still look at family vacations, those are key for yourself, your significant other, your kids, just friends, group of friends. Like every 3 years, you guys take a vacation. Don't cancel the next vacation because of this episode, but just things to look into and even at that point, if you're going to travel in a group, like split that up. Just be like, hey,
Yep.
you look into this, you look into this, you look into this. So it's not overwhelming just on one person. Is a nice way to break that up.
Yeah, this by no means should overwhelm your trip or overwhelm your plans. You shouldn't be spending every waking moment at whatever destination you are going to planning for, the worst possible thing that could happen, because that's why go on the trip then, right? This is just literally to have something in the back of your mind for, if this happens, I will react this way, and just pre-planning a little bit. But yeah, by no means do we want people to be going on vacations and sitting there the entire week or however long you're gone, just researching the local area, figuring out what you're going to do, how you're going to react to things. Because the point of vacation is to go have fun, but you just want to have that ability to react if need be.
Yeah, and relax and step away from that nonstop hustle and bustle of prepping this, that, everything. Take that break, take that reset. But yeah, just there are many things you should take a little gander at prior to going. Is we've said some weird scenarios where if you're going to travel where I'm traveling, depending on how cool you are, I might make you like vice king, if that's the thing, like whatever, but just understand where that stands. I'm the king.
Can I just be in control of communications? That'd be great.
Yeah. If it's a ham friendly area, buddy, you're in. Don't even come on down.
And like you say about panicking and all that, not to. I mean, the old saying continues: an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure.
Yep.
So, if, like you say, you do a little bit of your homework, and everything will probably be just fine.
Yeah. Yep. And if you do that research even prior to booking, not book and then do the research, you can realize that if you spend an extra $100 a person, you can get to an area that may be way less likely for a bad scenario to happen, because that line of where the really bad area and that unspoken rule of the bad doesn't happen where the tourists come it could be 20 kilometers away compared to a kilometer away. And I'm like, the odds of this ever happening are probably less, next to none. But I'm like, understanding that concept that I'm like paying an extra $100 and having that extra security takes a bunch off your plate of if you went down a crazy rabbit hole after this episode, like I did with the fucking weird cybersecurity one where I don't trust anything, but still come on the podcast. Right. But I'm like, prior to even booking, understanding that it's like, hey, look, like this resort is similar, or the exact same, but it's an extra $100. But that security barrier of many scenarios of this are, cut down by like 70%. Like the odds of that happening are probably slim to none, but for $100, cutting your odds down of something bad happening by 70% is potentially worth it if you can, accommodate those funds. Like, so, yeah.
That's a good point. Joe here in the live chat's got a good question that I'll throw out to the panel here. Do you guys think there are any world threats at the current moment that would cause you to cancel your trip if it was in the next couple of months? So my first question, Joe, is where are you going in the next couple of months?
So you don't have anything to worry about. I don't plan on going down south or taking a trip anywhere where I declare myself king, so you should be good.
Good. Perfect. Really, the only major thing going... Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, any place in the world, I would probably...
Avoid Ukraine?
Well, that's the obvious. The Middle East, maybe. There always seems to be stuff boiling up over there, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just areas that I would like to visit and maybe not visit right now due to current scenarios, but nowhere I would plan on taking a trip has anything that I would significantly consider saying no. But that would go back to what Jeff was saying, is before you leave, look at certain things. There's certain parts of the world that I would probably consider not going to visit due to economics, disputes or whatever. Jeff mentioned the Middle East. I said Ukraine as a joke, but I'm actually also being kind of serious. Where there's some issues happening there that I'm like, no. But I mean, as it stands right now, pretty much everywhere else in the world, I would consider. I mean, if someone else is going to pay to make me king, I'm down.
There you go. Yes, Joe says Cuba. So sounds like he's heading to Cuba. So yeah, enjoy your trip, Joe.
Yeah. No,
put some of the stuff we talked about here to use, and I can't think of anything right now.
I know I have a buddy that just came. Buddy from I work with that just came back from Cuba about 2 weeks ago, and he said it was best time of his life. He's like, there's no snow, there's no wind chill, there's no freezing rain. Nice resort.
I actually know a lot of people that go to Cuba, and they basically say, for Cubans, they're, I guess, gravy train, if you want to call it, or whatever, are the tourists and the tourists that come. So the last thing that they're going to want to do is make life difficult or miserable on tourists and have a whole bunch of them say, fine, I'm not going to come and spend my money here. So
and they love Canadians.
Oh, yes.
Like 100%. They love Canadians. So, like, funny side tangent. My sister was supposed to go down or did go down or whatever, but she was born in the States. So she has a U.S. passport. And, like, she almost didn't go because they weren't allowing U.S. passports into there, even though she's Canadian, but she was born in the States, so she had dual citizenship, but she didn't have a Canadian passport. She had a U.S. one. So I'm like, they absolutely adore Canadian. I'm also just assuming he's Canadian, but yeah, they absolutely adore Canadians down there. We have been touristing there, and I don't mean to say it bad as in like we're supporting their economy, but I mean, in a certain way we are, as it's a destination It's affordable. It's easy to bring the whole family. You can make it there and back safely, no problems. They love it. Enjoy the time. I wouldn't mind a cigar if you can figure out how to get them back in here. Just saying.
Yep.
I got a wedding coming up.
Canada's a problem. It's
Nope.
It's
Bring them back to the
just
States.
US?
It's a problem. Yeah, it's just the
Is it
States.
States? Well, then there should be no excuse for me to not have one for my wedding. Just saying.
Ah, there you go.
Support my cigar habit.
Awesome. All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, we'll move into the podcast challenge. So, challenge for this episode: put a shit hit the fan evac plan for traveling together. Store it with your passports. So, just a generic plan that could be applied across the board for no matter where you're traveling, and just have it in with your passports. And that way, you've got something ready to go, and you can review it closer to the time you're actually going to travel. But it'll be kind of a good reminder to actually do that if you're got it in with your passports. All right, upcoming events. So we've got the annual Preppers Meet, again, July 6th to the 9th, 2023, being held in Desborough, Ontario. So same location as the last couple of years. There is an announcement up now that early bird tickets will be available on April the 2nd, 2023. So keep your eyes open for that. And we've got a weather blurb from Jeff.
Yeah, so as I mentioned in my news articles there, Ontario in the northern U.S. got a pretty good ice storm last week. It was not as severe as predicted, but it did still cause widespread power outages. As we mentioned, in St. Thomas there, it took down all the poles. Michigan still got 300,000 people without power. There is potential for another storm to hit tomorrow. Where exactly the icing as opposed to rain, opposed to snow line will be is still a little bit in question, but I wouldn't be surprised if the same areas got some sort of a bit of an ice storm. Not as bad as the last one, but there's still going to be something, and considering that, the infrastructure is already weakened, trees are already weakened, stuff like that, getting another storm like that could cause some issues. California, funny enough, continues to get hit with a winter storm. Yes, I'm saying a winter storm in California. Some places in the state have gotten snow where they have not seen snow in 40 years.
Wow.
Some of the places, Sierra Nevadas and that kind of stuff, and even further closer to Los Angeles, but up a bit in the mountains, are expecting and seeing anywhere from 5 to 6 feet of snow.
Wow.
So it's if California wasn't messed up enough, this will just
That's really messed up.
The biggest loop.
So no travel plans to California. Got it.
Yeah.
And
Just gonna feel
even
like home.
some not so great places that I'll name anyways. But Portland had its second snowiest day ever on record. People were literally just abandoning their cars on the interstate and walking away.
Wow.
How much snow did they get?
They got over 10 inches in Portland, which is like unheard of. The
Internet inches or actual inches?
Actual inches, believe it or not.
Okay.
When I say it's the second snowiest day, their snowiest day on record was 14 inches back in like 1890 something, or what, like we're talking like 100 years ago. So that's pretty significant for them. So it was kind of funny, but anyways, funny but not funny.
All I'm
if you know
thinking
what I mean.
is 10 inches of snow. All I'm thinking is like getting that e-brake action in.
Oh, yeah.
Drifting around corners, right?
Yep.
Like, yeah, but I mean,
Is there any other way to drive without snow or with snow? You got to e-brake.
Depends. If you got a Subaru, it might not be a good idea. Or if you got an all-wheel drive
Fair enough.
or rear-wheel drive at that point.
Yeah,
right?
so
Like,
I just do a little news clip in there if anybody wants to have a read of it. But yeah, it's certainly been. I didn't put it in the notes, but it's certainly been an odd winter, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
Out Pierre's Way, the Skateway or whatever, the Rideau Canal, I guess, is not opening this year for the first time since 72, 73, I think.
Yeah, like 30, 40 years. They've got this thing on, what is it? One of the radio stations where they're like, just like make a bet. And if it opens up for a day, like the Rideau Canal is the biggest man-made canal. It's like 3.5, 4 kilometers long or whatever. It's got.
Oh, I thought it was more like 13 or 14, but yeah, it's big.
It's not 13 kilometers long. Is it? Oh, fuck, I live here and I don't even fucking know. You're messing me up, buddy. I'm just saying, I don't think it's that long. But still, right? It's a giant man-made thing. It's in downtown Ottawa or whatever. And yeah, this is looking like one of the years where I'm like, it just has not been cold enough for it to actually freeze to open. It was cold yesterday, but it was nice and warm today, even though it was below zero. Even with the wind chill or whatever, like stuff was melting because the sun was so hot that I'm like, yeah, it doesn't look like it's opening, but it's a big thing. They've got, bunch of good hot chocolate places. They've got beaver tails and everything. Like it's a huge thing that, we haven't taken our daughter there yet because they're still getting her to learn the skates. We got her swimming last summer and we were hoping this year was going to be skating, but the weather's just been so weird where I'm like, yeah, it's a fun time. I'm like, yeah, you paid $20 for a beaver tail because it's whatever, but yeah, it doesn't look like it's opening yet. And it's odd.
They're actually saying they're giving up on it for the season. They're not going to open it. So we were kind of both wrong. It's 7.8 kilometers.
I was going to say, I've just done some interning. 7.8 kilometers. And for the non-Canadian listeners, we do not eat actual beaver tails.
Buddy, no, you should have left that alone and just wait for the feedback.
Yeah.
Should have just waited for that feedback.
I know I should have, but I don't want to wade through the emails of, oh my God, you eat actual beaver tails? No.
Don't knock it till you try it.
They are fantastic. They are fantastic.
Yeah. The real ones or the ones we're talking about for the American?
I'm waiting for the emails.
But yeah, so yeah, it's just been a weird winter up here. It's been 90% of the snow is melted before more snow came, and yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to open. And yeah, it's the first time in a very long time. I'm just happy we didn't spend millions of dollars making a stupid rink on Parliament Hill this year, at least.
Oh boy, Monday nights, Pierre. Monday nights.
Yeah.
All right. So the next couple segments, deal of the week. Anybody have anything? I didn't put anything in there. If we don't, we'll skip it.
Oh, well, we're gonna skip it because I didn't know. I didn't look through my things.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't put anything in there either. Shout outs. Anybody got any shout outs? Perfect. All right. And emails, iTunes reviews. Don't have any emails in there to read. So with that, I will bring episode number 196 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or of course your favorite podcast app. I think we're pretty much on all of them now. Please help us out. Submit a review. It does help other people find us, and it gives me something to read in the segment above.
Until the government sends. Oh, sorry, that's Monday night.
Monday, Jeff. Monday.
Do I have an episode for you?
We do record these shows live on Facebook and YouTube. If you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That gives you an alert when we are going live. If you want to reach me, you can get me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, or I am frequently on the Discord.
If you want to get a hold of kind of me, but you'll get a hold of Mel off the wall customizing, all the socialist medias, and at Gmail. I'm technically on the Discord for CPP, but like I'm never on there. But if you need a hold of me, do the @ thing, which is like the email thing, or PM me. because I got to work on a shirt for someone that said like, "Hey, we need your help," and I'm like, "There's so many notifications." I was like, I forgot about it for like a few days, and I was like, I can't deal with it. You can also find me Monday nights on the other CPP on YouTube's, where I talk about why critique the government and a few subjects we may have touched tonight that we said we're not touching.
All right. Please check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat while you're buying some prepper gear. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. So thanks for joining us this evening. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep learning.